You said earlier that federal agents who violate your executive order would be committing a criminal offense. I want to hear more.
Civil.
Well, I want to hear more about that. Do you think that they should be charged with a crime? How would enforcement on that work for the criminal component?
They should be charged with a crime because it is a crime.
By who?
By the entity that they're violating, the city of Chicago. It's a crime. Here's the thing. Anyone who commits a crime should be charged. I mean, isn't that the basic rule of what they ostensibly refer to as law and order? How do you expect people to respect your ability to carry out law and order if you don't follow it yourself?
So do you want the state's attorney to charge them?
I'm saying that they should be held accountable.
What's going on, guys? So we got to talk about the city of Chicago, because if it's not the governor who's taking facts and manipulating them in order to spin his own narrative by omitting valuable pieces of information from what would rather be the actual truth, or just when that doesn't work, he's just flat out lying on camera. You got now you got the mayor. Now you got Mayor Brandon Johnson, and he's the voice of law and order when it comes to following laws. Now he's in here doing press conferences talking about how if there are laws that are on the books that they need to be followed, that nobody's above the law. If you break a law, then you should have to suffer the consequences and be held accountable. Oh man, talk about a hypocrite. Talk about a hypocrite. I mean, by that logic, the illegal migrants, or as he likes to refer to them as, the Chicago residents, they're violating federal law. But I guess that doesn't count because it's one of those laws he doesn't feel should count. Let's be clear. His entire argument, it collapses on itself. You can't call for accountability while protecting those who break federal law. You can't demand respect for local authority on one hand while undermining national security on the other. This is the kind of circular logic that keeps Chicago trapped. Now he wants to talk about law and order when it suits his politics, when his ICE agents who have the right to be doing their job in the city of Chicago, suddenly now he wants to be able to hold them accountable if they violate his precious ICE-free zones. But for the violent criminals harbored in his city, the ones terrorizing neighborhoods, suddenly he wants understanding, compassion. So when he says anyone who breaks the law should be held accountable, what he really means is anyone who doesn't agree with him. And that right there tells you everything you need to know about what's really happening in the city of Chicago. Because while the mayor is preaching about accountability towards federal officers, the exact opposite is playing out in his own city. The same Chicago where he wants to charge federal agents for doing their job is the same Chicago where a woke judge just freed the woman who tried to ram ICE agents using her vehicle while packing a semi-automatic weapon. This is what happens when ideology replaces justice. When wokeness becomes the law of the land, criminals are protected and law enforcement is demonized if they don't share the same brand of liberal wokeness. If you're not echoing their politics, you're the enemy, even if you're the one risking your life to keep the city safe. Chicago isn't just soft on crime anymore, it's allergic to accountability. It's a city where criminals get second chances and federal agents get second guessed.
Judy, the judge in this case basically said that neither Miramar Martinez nor Anthony Reese pose a flight risk, and so she has ordered them freed pending their trial. Now, their cases have been jointed together in the same legal complaint, even though both were driving separate vehicles on the day in question, and according to their friends and family, they do not know each other. In court today, prosecutors described Miramar Martinez and Anthony Reese's actions as extremely dangerous and extremely reckless, saying the two had been following the Border Patrol agent's vehicle for 20 to 30 minutes before the alleged ramming took place Saturday morning, adding that the defendants weren't in the wrong place at the wrong time. The complaint, filed in court, alleges that on October 4th, 3 Border Patrol officers acting as security detail were driving a silver Chevy Tahoe in Oak Lawn when they were aggressively pursued by what is described as a convoy of civilian vehicles. That convoy, alleges the complaint, was attempting to box them in when they were struck, first by Martinez, then moments later by Ruiz, near 39th Place in Kedzie. Martinez was shot 5 times by agents, then arrested at a repair shop a mile away, while Ruiz was arrested at a gas station nearby. The criminal complaint, including photos of the CBP-driven vehicle, along with photos of both Martinez's and Ruiz's vehicles, with damage they say is consistent with the ramming. Now, in court today, defense attorneys for both Martinez and Ruiz disputed the government's version of events, but since this was a detention hearing, they mostly limited themselves to arguing why their respective clients should be released, with Martinez's attorney saying that she is still recovering from the injuries from those 5 gunshot wounds and needs immediate medical attention. Both are scheduled to be back in court at a later date.
Wow. And so the judge referred to this situation as extremely dangerous and extremely reckless. I mean, thank you, Captain Obvious. Isn't that quite apparent that it was both extremely, at least they said extremely, that, I mean, they did add the extreme onto it, not just dangerous, extremely dangerous and extremely reckless. Quite obvious. But let's call it what it is. An act of domestic terrorism, committing a crime against federal agents who are instructed to do a job, and you are trying to obstruct them from doing that job, and you are using force to do so. One of the people in question, the woman, she had a semi-automatic weapon in the vehicle, and all the judge had to say was it was an extremely dangerous and extremely reckless situation. These people were coordinated, following ICE agents for 20 to 30 minutes, and then attempted to box the agents in. And when they failed, the agents opened fire. And here's where it even gets more dangerous. While this judge is busy handing out a get out of jail free card, ICE agents are being targeted on extremist websites. When you have leaders who will lie just because it sounds good, like Governor J.B. Pritzker, and hypocrite mayors like Mayor Brandon Johnson, and woke judges who will allow people like this to walk free, what message does that start to send? It tells every lunatic out there that this kind of behavior is acceptable. That violence against these federal agents in these liberal-run cities, that's not a crime, it's a cause.
New bulletins from the Center for Internet Security and Department of Homeland Security stating ICE agents and facilities have been targeted by an anarchist website in Chicago. The law enforcement threat assessment from the Center for Internet Security says at least 4 Chicago area ICE facilities, including Broadview, have been surveilled with detailed layouts, diagrams, and photos posted to what is described as an anarchist website. Also found on the website, reviewed by the ABC7i team, photos of ICE agents, including names, faces, and badge numbers.
There has been an increase in the attempt to gather information online and publish it even on websites publicly available.
A separate Department of Homeland Security Joint Intelligence Bulletin from this month advises ICE facilities and personnel face an increased threat from domestic violent extremists, similar to the 2 shootings at ICE facilities in Texas in September and July.
These are law enforcement operations, and these are law enforcement officers that are doing what they were sworn to do.
ABC7 police affairs consultant Bill Kushner says the enhanced federal action in Chicago brings enhanced risk to immigration operations.
The more people resist this in a violent fashion, the more violence is going to be used to defend the officers.
And what we just saw right there should send chills down anyone's spine, because this is what happens when the justice system starts picking sides. These aren't just online threats. These are radical leftists who are being fueled by Democrats. ICE agents are now being treated like targets rather than protectors. And that didn't happen overnight. It happened the moment Democrats decided that authority was the enemy, when they began calling enforcement racist, calling order oppression, and seeking compassion for criminals. And now we're seeing the fallout. I mean, you have gang members. This was just reported earlier, I spoke about. You got gang members who were foolish enough that he put a bounty on the chief of ICE put a bounty, a 10K bounty on his head.
Judy, in the audacious plot, 37-year-old Juan Espinosa Martinez, a Latin Kings gang member, offered a bounty on U.S. Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino, $10,000 for the murder and $2,000 for information, according to the Northern District U.S. Attorney's Office. The I-team in federal court today as Juan Espinosa Martinez made his first appearance after he was arrested Tuesday in Burr Ridge by a cadre of federal law enforcement, including DEA, ATF, Homeland Security Investigations, FBI, and Border Patrol officers. The 37-year-old, who goes by the street name Monkey, is accused of offering a bounty of $10,000 to members of the Chicago Latin Kings street gang to kill Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino, according to the complaint. Bovino has been front and center in multiple Chicago immigration enforcement operations over the last several weeks of Operation Midway Blitz.
The street gang is a formidable organization. We know that. We know how much mayhem they can cause, but they're really no match for the power of the federal government if there's evidence against them.
Homeland Security Investigation Chicago says it received a screenshot of a Snapchat conversation seen here from a confidential source with a photo of Bovino and the bounties for murder and information, with the letters LK appearing to link the message to the Latin King street gang in the city. ABC 7 chief legal analyst Gil Sofer says for federal prosecutors to win this case, they have to prove the facts and intent of those messages.
The complaint alleges that he was a member, not only a member of the Latin Kings, but that he was directing the solicitation to other members of the Latin Kings.
After Customs and Border Protection officers opened fire on a woman over the weekend, Espinosa Martinez also instructed members of the Latin Kings gang to bring guns and deploy gang members in response, according to the filing.
You've got gang members that are doing drive-bys on the weekends for free. So offer $10,000 and you might actually get one of these knuckleheads that would take them up on it.
Retired CPD Lieutenant John Garrido spent more than 3 decades with the Chicago Police Department and says when it comes to the feds, Chicago's street gangs don't know what they're up against.
You're dealing with a different type of law enforcement now. The rules of engagement are different. The penalties are different. The laws, the federal laws are a lot tougher than our local laws are, and you're actually going to do some time if you're convicted.
This is where we're at now, because when you have judges in these woke liberal cities who won't enforce the law, mayors who are siding with the criminals, governors who will lie right in front of a camera on live television, and they do it on these liberal networks who won't challenge them in anything they say. They'll believe the lie because they want to keep spreading the message. You end up with a bunch of radical leftists. You end up with gang members who are targeting now federal agents. Anyway, guys, leave your thoughts down below. You know I appreciate when you guys chime in. Let me know what you think about everything that's going on with this entire situation. Don't forget, you enjoyed the content, smash the like button for more, subscribe to the channel, and stick around for the next video. Governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, flat out lies on MSNBC about Trump's use of the National Guard in order to try and paint himself as some noble hero protecting democracy. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time.